Hello and welcome to Commissioner's Corner. I'm Commissioner Charlotte Garrido, and we're so glad you've come back today to join us in the continuation of our discussion of jobs and workforce development in Kitsap County. Our largest employer in Kitsap County is the United States Navy. And the apprenticeship program at Puget Sound Naval Shipyard Intermediate Maintenance Facilities is totally impressive. We're going to talk about that today, and to help us discuss that is Captain Steve Williamson. We are so glad to have you here. Thank you for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I know that you want to talk about the apprenticeship program, but I suspect that you'd also like to talk a little bit about the facility and the history of that facility that's been here for well over 100 years in Kitsap County, and some of the operations and the principles that guide you.
Sure.
Great.
Thank you again. So it's impossible to talk about the apprentice program, the development of our workforce, without talking about the mission. What is it that we do? So a little bit of history, if you'll bear with me.
Absolutely.
So the command was established in 1891 as a naval station, so we've been around for quite some time. We've had lots of transition through the time. We've had dry docks built. We have 6 dry docks there right now. All the way from 1896, the last one built in 1962. So if you ever tour the waterfront and you ask the question, how come they don't go in order? They go in order of the numbers they were built. Sort of 1, 2, 3 heading east, 4, 5, 6 heading west. So it's interesting, a little bit trivia in there. We have had upwards of 33,000 workers during World War II clock in 24/7 at the shipyard. So that's a lot of people. But ultimately, our mission today is, as our mission has always been, to maintain and modernize our Navy's fleet. Today we have a little bit different vision. We're really focused on the nonstop execution of workflow by our teams of engineers, our teams of workers, our mechanics, everyone working together to figure out how to have a seamless product from beginning to end and to deliver the ships back to the Navy on time and at a good cost to the Navy and to the taxpayer. A couple of things probably worth noting, at least in our history. 2003, we consolidated with the Trident Refit facility up in Bangor. They became the Intermediate Maintenance Facility, thus our title, Puget Sound Naval Shipyard and Intermediate Maintenance Facility. So we took on that mission. 2004, the Navy regionalized its regional maintenance centers, and we took on the responsibility of the work up in Everett at a regional maintenance center. So we expanded a little bit more. And in 2006, in support of the Navy forward deploying an aircraft carrier in Japan, we established a detachment in Yokosuka, Japan for that carrier. So today we have a presence, as you might say, pretty much globally, but we expand from a detachment in Everett, a command in Bangor in the Intermediate Maintenance Facility, the shipyard proper here in Bremerton, a detachment in San Diego for carrier work, a detachment in Japan for carrier work, and a presence in Guam to support our forward deployed submarines. We are everywhere in between and beyond. So where the Navy needs us, in particular where our assets call us to be, we go and support.
So you have global impacts as well as your local impacts.
Absolutely, that's our job.
Great. And you talked about the dry docks. We're going to be talking about apprenticeship. So are there a few jobs that kinds of areas of work that are
Everything
done on the
we
dry
do,
dock?
everything we do centers around the mission of the fleet. So our aircraft carriers, our submarines, and our surface ships from Everett that deploy to support our fleet commander's needs in defense of our nation, when they come into depot level maintenance, that's significant deep maintenance at the time in their life cycle, they come into one of our dry docks predominantly. They could be having refits up at Bangor, smaller availabilities that don't require dry dock, but at the end of the day, every one of our crafts, every one of our skills is needed in every single availability. There isn't an availability that doesn't go without a trade, so all of our trades are required, and we required skilled people to do that work.
Absolutely you do, and at one time 33,000 during World War II. That's a lot of folks.
Well, it's interesting that I can't imagine 33,000 people coming to the gates in and around Bremerton. As we stand today, we're 12,500 people, growing by the end of the year to 13,300 people, which will be the largest we've been in quite some time. And with that comes workforce development, which is really what we're here to talk about.
Thank you. Well, let's do talk about the apprenticeship program then. We also are blessed to have Brian Watland, who is the Director of Student Programs at Puget Sound Naval Shipyard and Intermediate Maintenance Facility. Brian, would you tell us a little bit about the helper trainee program and how you hire and maybe prepare people for the careers within the Navy?
I'd love to. The helper trainee program is our primary way of getting folks into the production workforce. It's a unique program in that it's a development program that we created so that it's self-paced. That is, the employee comes in and has the option to engage as a student as well. When they do that, they can choose how much training they want to take and at what pace. And then their promotions are tied to that academic success and/or competency demonstration. The beautiful part is we've partnered with Olympic College on this, so all of the coursework is accredited through Olympic College. And then, like I said, the student picks what courses they'd like to take. They can demonstrate their competencies for promotion by virtue of taking and passing those classes. Or if they already have the knowledge, they can just come up and take the test. The other component for the promotions is they have to have a certain amount of work experience hours. So you can see there's two controllers on their promotions: pass the classes and/or demonstrate competencies and acquire the set minimum number of hours, and then move along in that academic or competency progression. And then the really cool thing that I like is there's options available to them. If they choose to be an apprentice, if they want to seek out an apprenticeship, they can take some additional courses to make sure they're apprentice ready and meet the eligibility standards in the math and the English disciplines. So kind of a new program in this format. We've been running the helper program for decades, but this modification, where it's driven by the student's desire, is a fairly late model adaptation, if you will. We've been running it now for about 2 years, and we have about 1,200 employees
Wow.
in that program. So we're excited about that program. To apply, interested folks would watch USA Jobs, and the website will come up, and you can get the actual website there. You would want to build an account through USA Jobs, and then I would encourage folks to go to the Command's website, and that address will also pop up, I think. Take a look at the employment opportunities and resume tips. And there's a worksheet there where you can kind of work through, and what you want to do is you want to demonstrate interest and aptitude for the trades. And then that would make your resume stand out. We're after something that's got some detail in it so that we can see what your interest and aptitude is and which of the 24 different trades it might apply to. And then you would look for the periodic announcements that come through USA Jobs. And I would say typically a couple of times a year we'll have a fairly large announcement that'll be out there for what we would call hiring into the production workforce. So in a nutshell, that's our helper program.
So the aptitude, is it a written test or is it a practical test?
So there's no test for the helper program.
Oh, I see.
It's all about the resume and what you communicate on your resume as far as your interests and aptitudes. So, you know, we'd be looking for things that show that you can pay attention to detail, work to process, maybe have a little bit of mechanical aptitude, or at least a willingness to learn that type of stuff. Again, these are entry-level positions, and we're not expecting a documented skill level as much as we are the interest and aptitude to work with other people, follow instructions, and learn.
Great. Well, that's pretty basic.
Yeah,
Well, thank you very much, Brian.
certainly.
So, Captain, I want to know even more detail about the actual apprenticeship program and the training for the workforce. Can you tell me a little bit about the 7-20-10 model?
Certainly. So it's the way we go about developing our folks. So let me back up just a
Okay.
second. Mr. Watland said something that's really important. So when we do have the announcements for the jobs that come up and go into our helper trainer program, we're looking for a few things. We don't expect somebody to be a proficient welder or a ship fitter or any of other trades. What we're looking for are dedicated people that want to get and be part of a mission that's like no other. You can get a job somewhere. We provide a career and something that's very important. Every day that these people come to work, they get to go work on aircraft carriers, ships, submarines. You can't have a job like that and go tell somebody, your family, what do you work on? And it's very important. And so it's obviously important to me and my career, but the 12,500, soon to be 13,300 people are also part of the government. They are part of our self-defense. They are part of our Department of Defense. So they are just as important to us. So when we look for someone to come in the worker program, the helper trainee program, we look for things like integrity, good work ethics, driven, can work with people, understand diversity, can really get in and provide their input, work well in teams. We'll teach them anything else. So if they want to be a welder, if they want to be a ship fitter, we can go ahead and teach us. It's hard to teach integrity and honesty and drive and mission focus. So those are really the attributes I believe that our folks look for when they're interviewing people and when they get in the door. Obviously, as Mr. Whiteland said, you have to write a resume that speaks to trades, and I understand it. I've worked on my car at home, or I've built something with some woodworking skills. That's important, but talking about being in team dynamics is equally important. So once we get these employees in and they apply for the apprentice program, even during the apprentice program and afterwards, our command has kind of turned a corner relative to the way we used to train, which is everybody come in, get out on the waterfront, figure it out as you go along. You may have a very experienced person there to help you guide you through, this is what you ought to do, this is what you shouldn't do, and kind of think of it the school of hard knocks, so to speak. With the growth of our command and the need for more and more effective workers and nonstop flow of the work in order for us to deliver the assets back to our fleet commanders on time, we've recognized it's not just about can you weld, can you ship fit, can you do anything, can you be an electrician, can you provide that. It's about can you work with other people? How do we develop that skill? Do you have interpersonal relationships? How can you work on those skills? So the command set out with principles. We have 10 principles, and I'll only talk about the first 4 for now. It leads into our 70-20-10. Number 1 principle is respect every individual. So it's not learn how to use a saw, learn how to use a tool. It's respect for one another. So we have leading with humility, create a constancy of purpose, and systems thinking. Things that really say, do you understand the whole model? Do you understand how you fit into this? Are you valued, and do you respect each other? So you start with these principles. As you move through, a brand new employee who comes in gets lots of training. Lots of training. And if they become apprentice, they get even more training. But it's not done 5 years later. We have people that are at this command and want to do this mission for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And so how do we create that development? We've determined that most of the training that we occur should be hands-on experience. So it still should happen. Get your hands on it and figure it out. So the 70-20-10 model is literally 70% hands-on, 20% exposure to it, and 10% school. So get out there and do it. We'll provide the basic skills, but you got to get your hands on it. And we do a continuous training cycle all the way through their employment. What do you need as a leader? What can we provide you from Command University as a first-level supervisor training, second-level supervisor training? When you become a senior manager, how do we provide personal mastery? How do we provide relationship discussions? Things that we missed before, either overtly or didn't think was important and didn't value. It's at the top of our list right now.
I love that whole person approach to working with employees.
It's important. It's all about every stage along the way. If you assume they have everything they need and ignore them for the next 15 years, they're missing something. So everybody needs that continuous training and development from day one through the last day they want to work here.
So again, you're looking for the upfront traits of integrity, honesty, drive, and dedication.
That's what I'm looking for.
Excellent. That's really important for people to know. Great. Well, you've given us some terrific history and given us the global perspective. You've also offered up a video for us to be able to observe some of the actual apprentices and their connections to each other. We do observe the teamwork, that dedication, that ability to work with one another and support one another in the learning process. It's learning with others, not just learning
Absolutely.
by oneself. So I very much appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today. I did hear that you are hiring and that, again, those traits that you're looking for are dedication, integrity, honesty, and what was the other one?
Drive.
Drive,
Mission
yes. Oh, yeah,
focus.
that's kind of important, isn't it? So thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I know that our viewers are going to very much appreciate knowing a little bit more about the command and the facility and the way that you work with the people at the shipyard, Puget Sound Naval Shipyard and Intermediate Maintenance Facility.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent.
So thank you both for being here today. Thank you for joining us today. I hope that you have appreciated learning about the apprenticeship program as much as I appreciate it. I've been able to attend some of the graduations. They're exhilarating. People are so excited to have gone through this process, which is kind of tough. And at the same time, as you're going to see in the upcoming video, they really develop a bond unlike anything that you find in most workplaces. It's a terrific program. We're so lucky to have the United States Navy and Puget Sound Naval Shipyard Intermediate Maintenance Facility here in Kitsap County. Those of you who are looking for employment, don't hesitate to follow up on the links that you have been offered today. I think you'll all agree with me. We have some great jobs available in Kitsap County. Thanks a lot.
This is a life-changing opportunity. This is an opportunity to get a job in the United States government, a Department of Labor certificate, an education. It's just something that is profound for the person.
Our apprentice program is a 4-year apprenticeship. We have 28 different trades. All of those are focused around the repair and maintenance of the naval fleet and maintaining our infrastructure here at the Naval Shipyard.
You work for 2 weeks, and then you actually go to college for 2 weeks. And it's a great schedule.
It really helps to create a very well-rounded employee that's not only a trade artisan, but has all the foundational blocks for the complexities of our business and sets the foundation for leadership competencies.
So not only are you taking college courses that are aimed towards leadership, but you're also being trained in a specific trade.
You're getting all of the head knowledge you need, and then you go get all the practical mentorship that you need on the waterfront from senior mechanics. So they marriage together very well.
We invest quite a bit allowing them in a 4-year time frame to continue with their trade skill knowledge, but at the same time to be doing some pretty rigorous schoolwork. They're taking physics, they're doing plenty of studying together as a group, and at the end of the day we've got well-rounded individuals that want to be part of the Navy, that want to be part of this mission.
I give a lot of credit for where I am today, being a superintendent, the head of 2 shops in a very large command, to how the fundamentals that the apprenticeship program gave me.
By the time they've completed the program, have an absolute can-do attitude, a confidence to take on anything. They can figure it out, they can get it done.
Everybody wants you to succeed. That's the apprenticeship program. They want you to be the best, and they're going to do everything they can to train you and equip you and encourage you to be the best.
There isn't a better program out there that I'm aware of, and I look at a lot of apprentice programs across the country.
The apprentice program's history is intertwined, of course, with the shipyard's history. In one of our early classes, there was a gentleman named Herman Peterson who completed his apprenticeship and then moved on into supervision. Eventually, he became a master shipfitter. He was also one of our very first superintendents. He set the bar for our expectations. And the bar then being that we don't want somebody that is just content with completing the program, but we want somebody that has a foundation so that they can go anywhere they want to go and apply their trade and become the catalyst that we can build upon for the next generations. Herman Peterson was inducted into our Hall of Fame. His diploma hangs on our wall as a model to our apprentices today, over 110 years later, as something that they should also strive for.
I can recall during my command time here at the shipyard, a group of folks came and offered up a proposal of modeling what we had up here for the apprentice program, the relationship with a local community college, and the need based on what we saw as an increasing workload down in San Diego.
While built off the PSNS and IMF model, it's a unique adaptation in that we went to the surrounding commands and asked them to partner with us so that we could have a strong enough group to approach the educators in that area.
We set up a partnership with Southwestern College to do the same thing that we do up here. We have trade skill teachers that we provide, and we have academic teachers that Southwestern College provides.
So while it's in its infancy, I would say it's off to a fantastic start. I don't know of any other apprentice program that's had the Secretary of Labor come out within the first 4 years and check it out and give it accolades.
This past year was the first graduating class of that Southwestern College Southwestern Apprenticeship Program.
It just made perfect sense to try and emulate what we had for success up here, create that down in San Diego, and that's exactly what that team did, and they have set up a phenomenal program.
There still is a connection. When somebody says, hey, I went through that apprenticeship, you look at them and you go, I know what you went through. I understand that, those nights when, you're staying up late and you still gotta, make dinner and, take the kids to wherever or spend that quality time with a loved one.
Going through the apprenticeship was challenging for me. I had been out of school for a number of years. I had a son at home, being a single parent. So I devoted a lot of time to schoolwork, obviously, and just the regular challenges of everyday life.
For every 8-week course, they condense it down to 4 weeks. So you're trying to get this knowledge that's coming at you so much. It's like taking a sip of water from a fire hose. I mean, the knowledge dump that they give you.
It was stressful. Yeah, definitely stressful, but never felt like I wanted to quit. I had a huge support system around me, so I always relied on my fellow apprentices, so where one was weak, the other would assist.
This bond that we have, it's almost like going to war together, right? It's taking that time, it's a 4-year process, and a time where we are struggling through classes. Maybe one of us is struggling in a class and the others can help pick them up.
There's like a no man left behind type of attitude, and everybody pulled together and made sure everybody did their homework or understood certain subjects. We all stick together.
When you start your class, you kind of look around at your fellow apprentices in your class, and you don't realize the camaraderie and the closeness that you'll have with these people. The struggles. I remember struggling in drawing, but there was someone in class that was proficient at it, and you build that close relationship with that person because you're going through it as a team.
We all basically made this pact to each other that we were going to survive as a group. So whatever we needed, we're all going to take care of it together.
It's demanding, and that really ties back into when you complete the program, why you have such a fulfilling sense of accomplishment because of what you did have to go put into that program in order to achieve the end result.
The apprentice graduation is probably one of the highlights of my entire year.
The energy level, even now just thinking about it, brings the hairs in the back of my neck up. It is just so exciting.
There's nothing like it. It's impossible to describe. You have to attend it. Just thinking about it right now gives me goosebumps. It's a tremendous, tremendous night.
When those apprentices walk into the auditorium and the music is going, I mean, it's literally almost overwhelming. And even though, and I say it almost probably every year, I go, isn't that just, boy, doesn't that make your heart skip.
It was awesome to graduate the apprenticeship program. It was a huge sense of relief and pride and happiness that my family was able to see me walk across that stage. It was awesome.
And it's not just the excitement of the students, it's the excitement of the family members. The combination between the two of those is just something that you can almost touch.
My mom was there, my kids were there. It was a sense of relief that I had finally accomplished it.
Felt like I had about 100 pounds pulled out of my backpack. I finally arrived, I endured, I accomplished.
All the hard work, all the dedication I put towards the apprentice program paid off. And just being there with my fellow classmates, it was very nice to be able to do it together, to graduate together, to be successful together.
I know that those graduates, as they commence, will have the opportunities that the shipyard brings to them blossom in front of them. There will be nothing but themselves stopping them for as far as they want to go. And that's a beautiful thing.